I shouldn't dream about him. Not like this. Not with this kind of hunger pressed into the dark, shaping itself into his name in my mouth. But dreams don't ask for permission. In mine, he stood in the dim hallway of our home, the one we've shared since we were 12, with shadows curling behind him like secrets. His shirt collar was undone, dark hair falling over his brow and his eyes. God. Those eyes looked at me like I belonged to him, like he'd always known I would. I tried to step back. My heart trembled. He stepped forward. "Don't run," he whispered. Not a command, a plea. His fingers lifted my chin, slow, reverent, almost afraid. My breath broke. And then, the kiss. Soft at first, as if he was terrified I might vanish. Then deeper, claiming as though he already knew I never could. His hand slid to the back of my neck, gentle, yet possessive enough to send fire through my spine. I kissed him back. I shouldn't have. I couldn't stop. The world and the dream melted around us, and for a moment, nothing existed except his breath against mine, and the way my heart surrendered to something it didn't understand, but had always been running toward. When he finally pulled away, his voice was a vow soaked in hunger. "You've been mine," long before either of us knew. My name fell from his lips like a promise, like worship. And then, I woke up. My body jerked, my heart still beating in his rhythm. For a second, I was sure his hand would still be on my skin. It wasn't. Reality returned in quiet pieces. My blanket twisted around me, morning light brushing the curtains, the faint hum of campus buses outside. I pressed a shaking hand to my lips. Nothing there. But I still felt him, everywhere. "No," I whispered to the empty room, breath unsteady. This was wrong, impossible, forbidden. I sat up, forcing my heart to behave, but my pulse betrayed me, wild and traitorous. He was my brother. Not by blood, but still. We grew up in the same house, shared the same dinner table, pretended to be family. People saw us as siblings. I saw him as what? A dream-wearing danger? A question carved into fate? I squeezed my eyes shut. It was just a dream. That's all. A dream. I climbed out of bed, grounding myself in the familiar. The cold floor beneath my feet. The quiet breath of morning. And then I froze. Because outside my bedroom door, just barely visible through the thin glass panel, he was there, standing still, watching my door like he'd been there all night. Like he knew. Like he felt it too. My heartbeat whispered the truth. I didn't dare say aloud. Maybe dreams don't lie. He didn't knock. He never knocks. His presence at my door had always felt normal, protective even. But today, it stole the breath from my lungs. I pulled the blanket tight around me like armor. My pulse fluttered so loud I swore he could hear it through the wood. For a moment, neither of us moved. His shadow stayed still, tall, quiet, carved with patience and something heavier. Something I didn't have a name for yet, but felt like gravity waiting to pull me in. I opened the door just enough to see him. Messy, dark hair. Gray shirt still wrinkled like he slept in it, if he slept at all. His eyes lifted to me, slow, deliberate, as though he already sensed the storm I woke with. "Morning," he said softly. His voice wasn't deep in a showy way. It was calm, steady, the kind of voice that didn't need volume to command attention. It seeped under my skin, warm and dangerous. "Were you waiting here?" My voice cracked. Betrayal of nerves. He didn't look away. "I heard you moving." A pause, then quieter. "Wanted to make sure you were okay." My throat tightened. He always sounded like he meant every word. That was the problem. The way he cared felt personal, too personal, like he wasn't protecting a sibling, but guarding something he was terrified to lose. I forced a laugh, light and shaky. "I'm not a child. I can wake up without supervision." His gaze dropped to my lips, and I felt that look like heat along my skin. He murmured, "I know." Another breath, steady yet strained. Just habit. Habit. As if watching over me was part of him now. As natural as breathing, I should have stepped back, closed the door, broken whatever invisible thread was pulling us closer. Instead, I opened it wider. The hallway air shifted, or maybe it was just my heartbeat betraying me. The house was quiet, old wood holding its breath with us, morning light spilled between us like a confession waiting to happen. "You didn't sleep," I whispered. He didn't deny it. His jaw flexed, emotion flickering like lightning trapped behind bone. "I couldn't," he finally said. "I kept thinking someone might try to get in." I blinked. "What? Why would someone—" His eyes softened, but there was iron beneath. "Doesn't matter. No one will ever touch you." The words landed heavy, protective, obsessive. I wrapped an arm around myself, unable to escape the feeling that he wasn't talking about an imaginary threat. Or maybe the threat was just the world, and he wanted to shield me from all of it. Or maybe it was me, my feelings, this burning, forbidden thing waking inside me. He stepped closer, just enough that I felt the warmth of him, the quiet storm under his calm. "You're shaking," he murmured. I reached for the lie, but it dissolved before I could speak, because shaking wasn't fear. It was truth waking up in my body, and his eyes told me he knew. Campus always felt loud in the mornings, chatter, footsteps, the clink of coffee cups, backpacks zipping, bikes rushing past. Yet somehow, beside him, the world felt muted. He walked a half step ahead of me, not because he wanted to lead, but because he always positioned himself between me and everyone else, like a shield the world never asked for, and I never deserved. Students glanced at us as we passed. Some smiled, some whispered. He ignored them all, eyes forward, silent, steady, as if there was only one person in his world and she was walking quietly, behind him holding her breath. I hated how safe it made me feel, and how dangerous that safety felt now. We reached the courtyard. Sunlight filtered through the trees, warm and gold. Laughter drifted from a group near the fountain. Someone called my name, waving. I lifted a hand back, awkward, distant. People thought we were siblings, close ones. They didn't understand the space between us wasn't family. It was a battlefield, a prayer, a question neither of us dared answer. "Coffee?" he asked suddenly. It startled me, his voice slicing through my thoughts, low and careful. I nodded. He always bought my coffee, even when I protested, even when I offered to pay. "This time I'll get it," I tried, reaching for my wallet. His hand gently brushed my wrist to stop me. That single touch, brief, innocent, unplanned, sent heat rushing through my veins so fast I nearly forgot how to breathe. "No," he said softly. Just one word, but it sounded like a vow disguised as habit. He went to order. I stood under a tree, grounding myself, breath shaky, palms damp. A girl slid up beside me, glossy hair, sharp eyeliner, a smile too sweet to be sincere. "You always with him," she said, like an accusation wrapped in curiosity. I tried to laugh. "Well, we live together." Her eyes narrowed knowingly. "Oh, right, the family-friend situation." The way she said it made my stomach twist. Then she leaned in, voice low. "He scares people, you know, in a powerful way." My pulse stumbled. "What do you mean?" She smirked. "You don't know? A beat. He's not just some obsessed protective guy. People say his family runs things in this city." My skin prickled. She wasn't lying. She believed it. And she thought I knew. Before I could respond, his shadow fell over us again. Standing there with 2 coffees, one just how I like it, no word needed. His gaze flicked to the girl. Not a glare. Not anger, something colder. She froze. Then mumbled something and walked off too fast. He turned to me, expression unreadable. "What did she say?" I swallowed. "Nothing." His jaw tensed. He knew it was a lie. But he didn't push. Instead, he handed me the cup, fingers brushing mine. "Drink," he murmured. And when our eyes met, the truth slipped through me like a secret the universe had already written. I wasn't scared of him. I was scared of how deeply I was already his. That night, I told myself I wouldn't dream of him again. I drank warm tea. I read boring articles. I tried to memorize biology terms like somebody whose heart wasn't busy breaking rules in silence. It didn't matter. Sleep came like a wave, and he came with it. This time, we weren't in the hallway. We were in the kitchen, late at night, marble countertops glowing under the moonlight. The hum of the refrigerator was the only sound. Like the house, the universe was holding its breath. He stood close, back against the counter, hands resting beside him like he was trying very hard not to reach for me. His voice was quiet, almost trembling with something raw. "Why are you avoiding me?" "I'm not," I whispered. Liar. His pain in that word. God, it hollowed me. He stepped forward slowly like each inch was a confession. His fingers lifted to tuck a strand of hair behind my ear, his touch reverent, aching. "You think I don't feel it?" he whispered. Every syllable shook. "Feel what?" I breathed, already drowning. He leaned in, lips not touching, just hovering close enough to steal air from my lungs. "This pull," he said. "This thing between us." "It isn't real," I whispered, trembling, begging myself to believe it. His forehead rested against mine, warm, tender, wrong, perfect. If it wasn't real, his voice dropped to a confession, sharp with longing, you wouldn't be shaking. My breath broke. The world dissolved. My body answered him before I could. I leaned forward, barely an inch, but enough. His lips brushed mine like a secret sin whispered to God. Soft, slow, trembling, not a kiss made of lust. A kiss made of years of waiting, of fate, of surrender. My knees went weak. My soul curled into his name, and then a sound shattered the dream. I gasped awake, heart racing, lips tingling, breath short. The house was quiet. Too quiet, but I wasn't alone. A soft knock at my door. Barely a touch. Like he wasn't sure if he had the right to disturb me, or if he already did without trying. I froze. "Are you awake?" His voice, low, careful, almost afraid. I didn't respond. Couldn't. I pressed both palms to my lips instead. Shaking, burning, remembering. Because I didn't just feel the dream. I craved it. Silence stretched. Then finally, in the softest, most fragile tone I'd ever heard from him, "I heard you call my name." My breath stopped. I hadn't spoken in the dream, not aloud. And yet, somewhere between sleep and truth I had whispered for him, and he had come. Not because he heard my voice, but because he felt it. Felt me, felt us. My chest ached with a truth I didn't want and couldn't run from anymore. Wasn't falling. I had already fallen. And he knew. Morning sunlight didn't feel gentle anymore. It felt exposing. I moved through the kitchen like a ghost. Cereal bowl untouched, spoon silent. I kept replaying his voice outside my door. "I heard you call my name." How could I fear someone who sounded like that? Like my heartbeat belonged to him, and he was terrified to break it. I wasn't scared of him. I was scared of myself. He walked in quietly, always quiet, always aware of my breath before I even noticed it. His presence felt like warmth sliding through the room, like my ribs remembered how to breathe only when he entered. "You didn't eat," he murmured. I stared at the bowl. I wasn't hungry. His gaze softened, the kind of softness that hurt to look at, because it felt like protection no one else ever offered me. "You should eat anyway." I almost laughed. A normal sentence, but nothing about us was normal anymore. Instead, I nodded, pretending the air wasn't thick between us, pretending I didn't still feel his dream lips on mine, pretending I didn't want to close the distance like a sin starving for permission. He turned away to grab water from the fridge, and that's when I saw it. On the counter beside his keys, a folder. Simple, cream-colored, unassuming. But my name was typed on the tab. My name, not our shared surname. I froze. Something inside me went still, like intuition pressing a finger to my lips. I reached for it. Fingers brushing the edge, his voice snapped through the room, sharp, low, not dangerous, but desperate. Don't. I looked up. He was already staring, jaw clenched, hand still holding the water bottle like he forgot what to do with it. Why do you have a file on me? I asked softly. He didn't answer. His Adam's apple moved, a swallow thick with tension. Let it go, he whispered, let it go. As if I could. As if my body wasn't made of questions and forbidden longing and the quiet terror of wanting someone I shouldn't. I'm not your responsibility, I managed. His eyes darkened. Not with anger, but with something ancient, territorial, aching. You mean you're not my sister? Not a question. A truth, a quiet one, a dangerous one. My breath caught. He stepped closer, slow, steady, as if approaching a trembling bird. His voice softened, trembling with honesty. You don't know everything. Not yet. My heart pushed against my ribs like it wanted to run to him, not from him. What am I to you? I whispered, voice breaking in the places I didn't know were fragile. He didn't touch me, but his gaze did, tracing my face like a prayer he'd memorized in secret. Everything, he said. Just one word. But it held years, fate, possession, fear of losing me. I should have stepped back. Instead, I whispered, Why me? He didn't blink. Because I don't know how to breathe without you. Silence swallowed the room. Heavy, trembling, full of unspoken things circling like fire too close to skin. I hadn't read the papers. But somehow I already knew. Whatever truth waited inside them, it wouldn't push us apart. It would explain why it felt like we were never meant to be anything other than tangled souls pretending at normal life. And pretending was getting impossible. The house was quiet, almost sacred in the way it held secrets. I had the folder in my hands now, my fingers trembling as though touching paper could set my heart on fire. I shouldn't have opened it. I knew that. But the pull, the need to know, was stronger than logic. I slid it open. Names, dates, documents about me I'd never seen before. Adoption papers, records of my life I had believed were mine alone, now inked with someone else's hand. And then, his handwriting appeared in the margins. Notes, observations, something personal, terrifying, intimate. She likes the quiet. Watch for the tremble when she's nervous. Never let anyone touch her. Protect at all costs. My chest tightened. He had been watching me, always. Not in a creepy way, but possessive, territorial, deeply aware of everything about me. I couldn't breathe. A creak. He was behind me. Always behind me. Silent as a shadow. You opened it, he said softly, voice low but not angry. Not yet. I had to know, I whispered. My own voice sounded foreign to me. You weren't ready, he murmured, stepping closer. Hands in pockets, body tense but still measured. I looked up at him, feeling the weight of his eyes on me. Those gray eyes that had haunted my dreams and stolen my breath. I'm ready now, I said. His jaw tightened. The silence stretched, thick and unbearable. You think you are, he said finally. But knowing is different from feeling. Feeling, that's what matters. My heart skipped. Feeling what? I asked, almost afraid to hear the answer. Everything about you, he breathed. The fear, the longing, the pull that neither of us can name but both of us feel. I've been claiming you, without words, without anyone knowing, because it was the only way I could keep you close. I swallowed, heart pounding like a war drum in my chest. His words were heavy, dangerous, but they felt like truth. I don't know what to say, I whispered. He smiled faintly, a shadow of something soft hidden in the corner of his mouth. Then don't say anything. Just feel it. And just like that, the room seemed smaller. My breath came faster, every instinct screaming toward him. The danger, the obsession, the forbidden thrill. It wrapped around me like a warm storm. I wanted to step back, I wanted to run, but I didn't. Because deep inside, a tiny voice, almost shy, whispered, "You've already been his. You just didn't know it yet." He reached for my hand, not demanding, not claiming, just asking, hesitant, careful, like I could slip away. I let him hold it, and for the first time, I felt the truth of everything I had been ignoring, that dreams, destiny, and danger had been weaving us together long before we ever noticed. The folder lay forgotten on the table. Its contents, though shocking, no longer seemed as frightening as the truth settling in my chest. He was not just someone in my life. He was the invisible thread tying me to a fate I had never imagined. "I can't believe all this time," I whispered, voice trembling. "You knew everything." He nodded, silent for a moment, then finally spoke, his tone low and reverent. "I knew I've always known, even before you did. Even before you could call it anything." My heart skipped. "Before I could call it anything?" I repeated. "Yes," he said, stepping closer. The air around him seemed to hum with unspoken promises. Something dangerous yet intoxicating. "I watched you, waited. I couldn't touch you, couldn't claim you. Not yet. But I never stopped noticing, never stopped thinking about how you belonged. Here, with me." I swallowed hard. His words were a whisper, but they cut straight to the core of me. All the dreams, the brushes of hands, the stolen glances. It wasn't just imagination. It was real. He had been there all along, quietly claiming pieces of me without ever saying a word. I wanted to step back. I wanted to tell him it was wrong, but my legs betrayed me, rooted to the floor. He lifted his hand, slow, deliberate, brushing a loose strand of hair from my face. His touch was soft, intimate, and yet it carried the weight of obsession, of years spent waiting for a moment like this. "I shouldn't. This is forbidden," I stammered, voice breaking. He smiled faintly, not cruelly, but like a man who had accepted every rule and chose to rewrite it. "Forbidden doesn't matter," he whispered. "Blood doesn't matter. Only us." Only now, my chest tightened. I had known the rules. I had believed in them. But the pull between us was no longer about rules. It was about destiny and desire, and a silent claim neither of us could deny. I don't know what to think," I admitted, voice barely audible. He stepped even closer, and the heat from his body pressed against mine. "You don't have to think," he murmured. "You just have to feel," and I did. Every nerve in my body ignited, the fear of crossing boundaries, the thrill of forbidden curiosity, the ache of wanting something dangerous yet irresistibly tempting. For the first time, I realized I had never been free of him. Not in dreams, not in daylight, not even in the quiet of my own heart. He had claimed me in secret, and now, every thought, every heartbeat, every trembling breath belonged to him. I closed my eyes for a moment, letting the truth settle like a heavy but sweet weight. I wasn't scared anymore, because maybe, just maybe, some fates were meant to be dangerous. And some loves, impossible, yet here I was, standing on the edge of both. And he was still there, waiting, watching, claiming. The house felt smaller now, as if it had been built only to hold us and the tension that hummed between our bodies. I could feel his presence like a weight in the room, pressing closer with every heartbeat. "You shouldn't be looking at those papers," he said quietly, voice low, intimate, like he was confessing a sin rather than scolding. "I had to," I whispered. "I needed to know why you were always so careful with me." His eyes softened, yet there was steel beneath that softness, a sharp edge of ownership that made my stomach twist in ways I wasn't ready to name. "You're mine," he said, barely above a whisper, yet every word struck like fire. "No one touches you. No one will. Not your friends. Not strangers. Not anyone who thinks they can." I froze. It wasn't a threat to others. It was a threat to the world, to anyone who dared step too close to me, and yet, it was also something I couldn't resist, something intoxicating. I swallowed. "Mine?" I repeated, unsure if I should be angry, scared, or wanting. "Yes," he murmured. And the way he said it, steady, reverent, obsessive, made me feel like he had carved that word for me in secret years ago, long before I even realized I could be claimed. He stepped closer, fingers brushing my arm as he did. Not harsh, not demanding, just claiming. A shiver ran through me. "I've been keeping you safe," he said, voice barely audible. "Even before you knew it, before you ever felt it. You've been mine." I wanted to step back. I tried to push against the pull, the magnetic weight of him, but my body betrayed me. Every inch I moved away, he closed the distance, silent and inevitable, like a shadow that never left. I don't know if this is right," I whispered, trembling. "You're my brother, kind of," and his hand lifted to my face, thumb brushing along my cheek, gentle but possessive. "I don't care about the world's rules," he said softly. "I care about you, only you." I could feel my heart pounding, loud in the silence of the room. Every nerve ending screamed at me. Desire, fear, obsession, love, danger, all tangled in the quiet pull between us. "And if anyone ever tried to take you," he added, voice dropping to a whisper that sent heat along my spine, "I wouldn't just stop them. I would destroy everything in my way." I gasped, not sure if it was fear or exhilaration. The danger in him, the obsession in him, the possessive love, it terrified me. And yet, it made me ache. For the first time, I realized the truth of everything I had been feeling. I wasn't his by law, or by blood, or by right. I was his by destiny, by obsession, by a claim made in secret that I had felt all along but never understood until now. And I knew. I couldn't escape it. For hours after he left the study, his presence lingered, on the walls, in the air, in my chest. It felt like my heartbeat had changed rhythm to match his. Why did it feel like fate? Why did it feel like I had always belonged to him? Even before I understood what belonging meant, I pressed a hand against my racing heart, trying to breathe, to think clearly. But thinking was useless, because every time I tried, all I saw was him, his eyes, his voice, his quiet obsession that felt like gravity I couldn't escape. I needed space, air, normalcy, something other than him. So I slipped out. A quiet walk across the campus, that would clear my head. Except the moment I stepped outside our gate, a sleek black SUV parked across the street caught my eye. Its windows tinted, engine still warm. Someone was watching. They weren't subtle. A chill ran down my spine. Before I could turn back, a deep voice spoke from behind me. "You shouldn't walk alone." I froze. He hadn't made a sound, and yet he was suddenly there, coat draped over one arm, eyes burning like he had followed every breath I took. "How did you—" "I always know when you leave." He said it calmly, like it was the most natural thing in the world, like watching me was the same as breathing. My shoulders tightened. "This is too much. I just needed air. You need protection." He stepped closer, gaze locked on mine. "You don't understand what danger looks like yet." "But they do." He nodded toward the SUV. And as if his glare had been a silent order, the car pulled away, fast. My breath hitched. Was that a coincidence? Or had he just sent someone running with a look? "I'm not a prisoner," I whispered. "No," he said, voice dropping to something darker, softer. "You're precious. Precious things don't walk alone in the dark." His fingers brushed my wrist, and fire shot up my arm. "I should have pulled away." "I didn't. Tell me what you felt in that room," he murmured. "When you read my truth, not crime, not power, his truth. As if loving me, claiming me, protecting me in secret was the only identity he accepted. I felt—" I swallowed, words trembling, heart betraying me. Like my whole life changed. His expression softened. Dangerously. Beautifully. "It did," he whispered. "The moment you were brought into my house, your fate was sealed. Not because of blood, not because of duty." His thumb brushed the inside of my wrist. Slow, reverent, possessive. "But because I chose you, long before you knew." I shivered. The wind wasn't cold. He was warm. But the truth was terrifying. "Say you feel it too," he murmured. "Tell me you sense what we are." I opened my mouth, but footsteps echoed behind us. A voice cut through the silence like a blade. "Step away from her." I turned one and my stomach dropped. It was someone from campus. Someone who had always watched me too closely. Someone who shouldn't know anything about this world. The air snapped like lightning between two storms about to collide. And for the first time, I realized I wasn't the only one being claimed in secret. The voice behind us sliced clean through the night. "Step away from her." I turned slowly, breath lodged in my throat. Ethan. Campus golden boy. The one everyone liked. Gentle smile, soft voice, and eyes that always lingered a little too long on me. But tonight, there was nothing soft in him. His jaw was clenched, his fists tight, his gaze locked on the man beside me with a fury I had never seen before. "You don't get to decide who she stands with," Ethan said, stepping closer. "And you don't get to follow her like she's mine." The Mafia Prince's voice was a low, lethal whisper. The word hung in the air like smoke, heavy, claiming, undeniable. Ethan's eyes widened. Mine. He'd said it without hesitation. Without shame. Without caring who heard. My pulse hammered. Ethan looked at me, pleading. "You don't have to stay with him. You don't owe him anything." My heart twisted. I didn't owe him, but why did it feel like I belonged somehow? Like fate had looped a thread between us long before I understood the meaning of destiny. "I told you," the prince said, stepping forward, calm but deadly. "Stay away from her." "And I told you." Ethan shot back, voice trembling but firm. "She deserves a choice." Choice. The word hit like a slap. Had I chosen this? Or had I simply been pulled in, slowly, quietly, until escape didn't even feel real anymore? The prince's hand rested lightly at my lower back, protective, possessive, like a silent vow and a warning in one touch. "You don't know who you're speaking to," he murmured. "I don't care," Ethan replied, eyes burning. "I know what she deserves, silence. The kind that cracks before fires start." The wind shifted. Somewhere in the dark, a bird cried out. The night felt tight, stretched between two worlds, two men, and one forbidden truth. I wasn't invisible. I was being fought for. I stepped forward, voice shaking. "Stop, both of you." They didn't move. I swallowed hard. "Ethan, go home." His face fell, chest rising like he'd been punched. "You're choosing him?" "I'm choosing peace," I whispered, but it wasn't true. It wasn't peace I felt, it was fire. It was gravity. It was the weight of being wanted in a way that felt like destiny, not accident. Ethan's voice cracked. "If you ever need me, I'll come. I won't let you disappear into whatever this is." And then he walked away. The street felt too quiet without him. I wasn't ready for the way the prince turned to me. Slow, controlled, eyes burning with something dangerous and beautiful. "You don't need another man fighting for you," he murmured. My breath trembled. "And what do I need?" He stepped closer, fingers brushing my jaw, voice rough with emotion he never let the world hear. "You need the one who would burn the world before he lets it touch you." My heart stopped. That wasn't romance. It wasn't safety. It was obsession, fierce and frightening and impossible to look away from. And God help me. I wasn't sure I wanted to. The night felt unreal. My breath still shook from the confrontation, my pulse beating harder than footsteps running through silence. I wasn't used to being the center of a storm, yet here I was, caught between thunder and fire. He didn't speak at first. He just stood there, watching me like I was some sacred secret he had bled years to protect. "You shouldn't have come outside alone," he murmured. His voice wasn't angry. It was afraid, a quiet, controlled kind of fear, like he'd seen a world where I vanished and it had rearranged every bone inside him. "I just needed space," I whispered. "You don't need space from me." My chest tightened. "That's exactly why I do," I said softly. A muscle jumped in his jaw. Pain flickered, Real, human, raw, before something darker swallowed it. "You think I don't know you?" he asked quietly. "You think I don't feel when you're overwhelmed? When you're scared?" He stepped closer but slow, like he was walking into a memory. "You think I didn't watch you learn how to braid your hair in the hallway mirror? Laugh at stupid movies? Cry on the back steps when you thought no one heard?" My breath hitched. Each memory belonged to me. But he had been holding them in silence like fragile glass pieces. "That's not fair," I whispered. "I didn't know." He cut me off, not with words, but with his hand. His thumb brushed my cheek, gentle as a confession. "I have loved you quietly for years." His voice was almost broken. "I didn't get to say it. I didn't get to choose it. It happened the moment fate dropped you in front of me." My knees weakened, not because of the words, but the truth in them. A truth I had felt in moments I never understood. The dream. The pull. The unspoken belonging. I should have stepped back, but instead, I lifted my eyes to his, and the world fell silent. His breath touched my lips before he ever did. Close enough to taste him, close enough to lose myself. "You're shaking," he whispered. "I don't know what this is," I breathed. "This," he murmured, forehead resting gently against mine, "is destiny." My heart fluttered, frantic and terrified and wanting. His hand slid behind my neck, not to trap me, but to hold me like something precious. "Tell me to stop," he whispered, voice trembling for the first time. "And I will. One word could break this. One word could save us." But my lips parted for a different truth. "I don't want you to." His breath caught. Then, a distant phone vibrated in his pocket. He froze, jaw tensing. The spell shattered like glass dropped from heaven. He pulled away slow, tortured, like each inch broke something inside him. "We're not safe here," he said, voice suddenly cold and controlled again. "Someone is watching you." Fear curled low in my stomach. "Who?" I whispered. He looked at me, eyes turning sharp, lethal, protective. "Someone who knows you matter to me." A chill ran down my spine. This wasn't just forbidden desire anymore. It was danger, and I wasn't. Just the girl he claimed in secret. I was now the weakness the Mafia would hunt. The moment he said someone was watching me, the world tilted, my lungs forgot how to breathe, my fingers trembled at my sides. "Come," he said quietly, like a vow and a command in one breath. "You're not going anywhere alone tonight." He took my wrist, not harshly, not forcefully, just enough so I could feel his pulse against mine. Fast, controlled, protective. His warmth wrapped around me as he guided me back inside the house that suddenly didn't feel big enough to hold the storm between us. The doors, locked with sharp clicks behind us. Lights stayed low, curtains shut. He moved through shadows like he was born to command them. For a moment, I wondered if I really knew him at all. He turned, coat still undone, shirt slightly wrinkled from tension and movement, and his eyes landed on me like gravity had a shape. "I'll have guards outside," he said. "No one gets near you tonight," I swallowed. "Why would someone even be watching me?" He hesitated. "Something rare, something that made my stomach flip. Because hurting you hurts me," he finally murmured. "And in my world, that makes you a target." A shiver slid down my spine. Danger wasn't a concept anymore. It was breathing around us. "I don't want you to be in danger because of me," I whispered. His jaw tightened, possessive, aching, unbending. "I would rather die than let anyone touch you." He meant it. There was no exaggeration in his voice, only truth forged in obsession and loyalty. Suddenly, the lights flickered, just once, but enough to send my heart flying into my throat. He noticed instantly. His hand slid to the small of my back, guiding me upstairs with silent urgency. "My room," he said. His voice was soft, but the kind of soft right before insanity or devotion breaks loose. "I can go to the guest room," I whispered. "No." A single word, A command, a plea disguised inside control. He opened his room, and I stopped breathing. Dark wood. Low lighting. Clean, expensive, masculine scent. And a bed too large, too inviting, too dangerous. "I'll take the floor," he murmured. It stunned me. "You don't have to." His eyes lifted, slow, deep, unreadable. "If I touch you tonight, it won't be gentle." His voice lowered like silk over a blade. "And you aren't ready for that." Heat shot through me so fast I almost stepped backward. Not because I feared him, but because part of me feared wanting him this much. He tossed a blanket to the floor. No hesitation. No ego. A prince on the ground. For me. I stood frozen, heart stumbling everywhere inside my chest. "Come here," he said softly. My body moved before my mind did. He sat at the foot of the bed, lifting my wrist gently, his thumb tracing the inside like he was memorizing my pulse. "You shake when you're scared," he whispered, "and when you're overwhelmed." His eyes lifted, burning, careful, reverent. "And right now you're both," I swallowed. "You're overwhelming." He smiled, pained and beautiful. "And yet you stay." My voice came out fragile. "Maybe I'm scared of you." His hand cupped my jaw, thumb brushing under my chin with heartbreaking softness. "No," he murmured. "You're scared of losing me." My breath broke. And then, he leaned forward, lips close enough to feel, but not touching. A breath shared. A promise unbroken. A kiss denied by restraint alone. "Sleep," he whispered. "Before I make destiny happen too soon." I lay on his bed, heart pounding. Warmth everywhere, while he took the cold floor. The man who ruled shadows, sacrificing comfort like worship. And for the first time, I didn't dream about the kiss. I dreamed about us. And I woke knowing one terrifying, beautiful truth. I didn't want to escape him anymore. I wanted to belong. I barely slept. Not because I wasn't safe, but because safety suddenly had a face. A heartbeat. A name that slept on the floor just to guard me. When morning came, sunlight spilled across the room like it didn't understand the darkness of the night before. He was sitting up, elbows on his knees, head bowed, watching me breathe. Not creepy. Not invasive, protective, possessive in a way that felt like armor. Not chains. "You're awake," he murmured. "You didn't sleep. I don't sleep when you're threatened." Those words shouldn't have felt like comfort, but they did. He stood, offering his hand like it was instinct, like touching me anchored him. "Eat. Then I'll take you to campus." "I can go alone," I said softly. His eyes lifted slow. And the look he gave me wasn't anger. It was fear disguised as restraint. "No," he said simply. I didn't fight it. Not because I was weak, but because part of me wanted him there. On campus, whispers followed us like shadows. People stared. At him, at me, at the invisible electricity tying us together. Some girls looked curious. Some boys, resentful. But one stare burned hotter than the rest. Ethan. He stood near the fountain, talking to a professor, but his eyes snapped to us like a magnet had jerked them. He walked over, jaw tight. "You didn't answer my call," he said to me. I was resting. She wasn't available. The prince cut in, voice low, calm, lethal. Ethan ignored him. Bold, stupid, brave. I didn't know which. "I'm just making sure you're okay." "I'm fine," I whispered. Ethan's gaze hardened. "You don't look fine. You look like—" His eyes flicked to the prince, and something dangerous sparked. "You look like you're scared of him." Before I could speak, the prince stepped forward, slow, controlled. "If I wanted her afraid," he said quietly, "she wouldn't be standing here. She'd be gone." Ethan paled, but didn't back away. "You don't own her," the prince leaned in, voice barely a whisper but sharp enough to cut bone. "I don't own her. Fate does. I simply recognized her first. My breath caught. Ethan clenched his fists. "She deserves a choice. She already made one," the prince replied. I blinked. Had I? Before anyone could speak again, a sharp crack echoed. Pop. A sound like a firecracker. Except it wasn't, because a brick beside us exploded. Chips flying, dust rising, a bullet. My body froze, fear turning to ice. Then fire. Students screamed, running. Campus security ducked, and he didn't flinch. He grabbed me, pulling me behind him, body covering mine like a shield carved by instinct. "Get her inside," he barked to a guard materializing from nowhere. Ethan stared in horror as two more black-clad men rushed out of nowhere, surrounding us like ghosts with guns. My heart hammered. Someone wasn't watching anymore. Someone had acted, and the prince. His jaw locked, eyes turning into something deadly and ancient. "They dared fire near you," he whispered. Not at him. At me. He tilted my chin up gently, despite chaos erupting around us, voice trembling like the world offended him by touching me. "This is my fault," he whispered. "I waited too long to claim what's mine." I swallowed, shaking. "You mean protect." He looked at me then. Really looked. And the truth in his eyes was too raw to hide. "Protect," he repeated softly. "Yes, but that's not all of it." His voice lowered to something dangerous, reverent, inevitable. "I don't want to just save you. I want to keep you. Someone tried to kill me." And his first instinct wasn't fear, it was fury, possession, a vow sharpened into violence. I should have been terrified, maybe I was. But beneath the fear was something worse, or better, a pull, a surrender, a knowing. I wasn't just caught in his world now, I had become the center of it. The air in the house felt heavier than usual, thick, tense, like it was holding its breath for us. I was standing near the window, fingers tracing the cold glass, trying to convince myself I was calm. "You shouldn't be out here," he said, his voice low, dangerous yet soft enough to make my chest ache. I turned slowly. His silhouette in the dim light looked almost unreal. The way shadows clung to him. The way his eyes burned like he had seen every secret I'd tried to hide. I needed space, I whispered, though my voice sounded small, fragile. His steps were silent but deliberate as he closed the distance. Every movement spoke of control, obsession, and that dangerous thing that made me tremble in a way I couldn't explain. "Space?" he asked, voice rough around the edges. "There's no space for you anywhere but here. Not tonight, not ever." My heart skipped, wild and panicked. "Roshan." He cut me off, stepping closer, and I realized the room suddenly felt impossibly small. "I can't pretend anymore. I can't let you just walk away, not for 1 second. Not after everything I've felt for you in silence." My pulse raced. My breaths were short. I wanted to step back. But my body betrayed me, frozen, drawn to him in a way that scared me more than the mafia world he lived in. He lifted his hand, slow, careful, and brushed a strand of hair from my face. His touch was gentle, almost reverent, but it carried a claim I couldn't ignore. "I've been holding back for years," he whispered. "Holding back my obsession, my want, my need to protect you, to keep you. You think it's love? Maybe, but it's also possession. And I'm done pretending it's anything else." My throat tightened. You can't just..." He leaned closer, our foreheads almost touching, breaths mingling, his presence overwhelming every sense I had. "Watch me," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, each word vibrating against my soul. And then he was closer, lips hovering over mine. Not yet touching, but so near I could feel the heat, the pull, the dangerous electricity. "Say it," he murmured, as if this moment demanded confession. "Say you feel it too. I don't know if You do," he interrupted, voice shaking now, raw with emotion. "You feel it every time you look at me, every time your heart races when I'm near. Don't lie, not to me, not to yourself." My chest heaved, my knees weak. I wanted to close the distance, to surrender to the pull that had been there for years, quietly threading us together, and I did. Just a fraction. A millimeter, enough to let him know I was already halfway gone. He paused, breathing hard, staring into my eyes like I was the only thing keeping him alive. "Good," he whispered. "Because tonight, I won't let you go." The lights flickered once, shadows dancing along the walls. And in that small, heavy room, the line between fear, obsession, and desire blurred, leaving only one undeniable truth. I was his. And he would claim me, no matter the danger, no matter the rules, no matter what I thought I could control. Morning light spilled lazily across the room, but it did nothing to warm the storm between us. I hadn't slept, couldn't sleep, not after last night, not after the intensity of him, the pull of everything forbidden, dangerous, and intoxicating. He was sitting on the edge of the bed, elbows resting on his knees, eyes fixed on some invisible point in the distance. But I knew he was watching me, always watching me, every heartbeat, every breath, every twitch of my nerves. It belonged to him. "I can't believe you," I whispered, voice barely audible. "I can't believe how much power you have over me." He turned slowly, those gray eyes pinning me in place like gravity, impossible to resist. "Power?" His voice was soft but edged with something lethal. "This isn't power, Layla. This is obsession. I've waited years watching you from the shadows, keeping you safe, keeping my distance, keeping my damn sanity intact, until I couldn't anymore." My chest tightened. I wanted to step back. I should have. But I couldn't. Every instinct screamed to move closer, to surrender, to finally admit it. I wanted him. I wanted all of him. Dangerous, possessive, impossible. He stood, moving slowly toward me. Not menacing, not violent, just inevitable. Like the world had decided our fates long before either of us knew how to fight them. "I've been lying to you," he continued, voice low, trembling slightly now. "Saying I cared, saying I'd protect you, when the truth is I can't live without you. I can't pretend you're just someone I watch from afar. I can't pretend I'm not yours." I blinked. My mouth went dry. "Yours?" "Yes, yours." His hand lifted slowly, cupping my cheek like the most sacred thing he'd ever touched. "Not in the world's eyes. Not by law, but mine. Mine by choice, by fate, by obsession. And if you think for 1 second you could walk away..." His jaw tightened. "I would burn everything around you before I let anyone claim you but me." My knees weakened, and I sat down on the bed, overwhelmed. His confession wasn't gentle. It wasn't safe. It was raw, urgent, terrifying, and exactly what I wanted. I whispered, voice breaking. "I don't know what to say." "Then don't say anything," he replied, leaning closer, breath brushing my temple. "Just feel it. Feel that every beat of your heart, every shiver, every glance. It belongs to me now. And I'm not apologizing. I wanted to scream, to laugh, to cry, all at once. But I didn't. Instead, I closed my eyes and let it wash over me. The obsession, the claim, the forbidden pull that had been threading us together from the very beginning. He lowered himself beside me, keeping a careful distance, yet close enough that the heat of him was unbearable. My hand twitched, almost reaching for him, and he caught it instantly, intertwining our fingers like he'd done it 1,000 times in secret. "You feel it too," he said softly. "Yes," I admitted, barely above a whisper. "I feel it." And in that fragile, trembling moment, the world outside ceased to exist. There was only him, only me, only the undeniable truth. We were bound, by destiny, by obsession, by a love that neither of us could escape. And for the first time, I didn't want to. The day began like a quiet lie. Sunlight warm, birds too cheerful, campus halls buzzing as if the world hadn't changed overnight. As if my heart didn't belong to someone I shouldn't want. I walked through the marble corridor slowly, feeling every pair of eyes tracking me. But it wasn't me they were truly looking at. It was him, walking behind me like a shadow sculpted from power and silent danger. Roshan didn't even try to hide it anymore. the way his gaze stayed on me, the way his stride matched mine, the way his presence wrapped around me like invisible armor and invisible chains. People whispered. They stared. They moved aside like water parting around fire. My pulse fluttered. Part fear, part thrill. "You're tense," he murmured, voice brushing the back of my neck, just close enough to shatter my composure. "You're following me," I whispered back. He didn't deny it. Of course. I don't let what's mine walk into danger alone. My breath caught. "Roshan, you can't say things like that in public." He leaned in slightly, lips hovering near my ear. Too close, too intimate. Oh, little star, the public is exactly who I want to say it in front of. I swallowed hard, panic and warmth tangled like thorns and silk in my chest. People were watching now. Dozens of them. Eyes wide, mouths parted. Gossip born in real time. Everyone thinks we're... He looked down at me with eyes that held storms and secrets. "We are." His voice didn't rise, didn't snap. It was quiet, steady, dangerous in its certainty. The kind of tone that said the world could scream and break and burn, and he would still choose me. "Roshan," I whispered, unsure if it was warning or plea. He stopped walking. So did I, so did the hallway, everything stilled as if the air itself held its breath. Then he did something I never expected. Not here, not with so many watching. He lifted my hand, slowly, reverently, as if touching something sacred, and he pressed his lips to my knuckles. Gently, like a promise whispered to fate. Gasps echoed. Someone dropped their notebook. My heart almost forgot how to beat. "You don't have to say it yet," he murmured, still holding my hand like it was a lifeline. "You don't even have to understand it, but the world will." His eyes locked on mine, unblinking, unshakable. "You are mine to protect, mine to fight for, mine to lose sleep over. And if anyone touches you..." He didn't finish the sentence, didn't need to. His silence screamed louder than any threat. Not blood, not birth, not law, but fate. Then he lifted my hand again, like he wasn't kissing a girl, but claiming destiny. "Walk with me," he said. Not orders, invitation, danger soft. "Love sharp," I nodded before I could think. And the hallway parted again, not out of fear, out of awe, because in that moment, the world didn't see danger. It saw devotion so fierce it looked like myth, and I walked beside him, not because I had to, because a part of me already belonged there. If yesterday felt like a secret cracking, today felt like the whole world staring at the pieces. I had barely reached the garden courtyard when I heard my name. "Layla." I froze. Aiden, tall, golden boy smile, sunshine varsity jacket, campus favorite. The boy who once felt safe, before I understood what danger tasted like, what obsession felt like when it breathed near my skin. He jogged toward me, eyes frantic, voice too loud for the morning hush. "Is it true?" he demanded. "You and Roshan?" I swallowed. "Aiden, don't... So it's real?" His jaw clenched. "You're choosing him?" Of all people. I looked away, heart stuttering. Aiden wasn't dangerous, just angry, hurt, confused. But sometimes softness shouting feels louder than danger whispering. "I didn't choose anything," I murmured. I didn't know this would happen." "That's not an answer," he snapped. "He's not good for you, Layla. People know things about him." I stiffened. "Things like what?" His mouth opened, but before any words escaped, the air changed, footsteps quiet, lethal, unhurried. Roshan. He didn't storm in. He appeared like night replacing day. His gaze flicked to Aiden, then to our closeness, then back. And there it was, jealousy, clean and sharp like glass. Aiden swallowed but didn't back away. "You don't own her," Aiden said, voice shaking but brave. "She's allowed to talk to whoever she wants." Roshan didn't blink. I never said she couldn't talk. His gaze slid to me, and my pulse tumbled. "Did I?" "No," I whispered. "But," Roshan continued softly, "I also don't tolerate someone raising their voice at her. Not even you, Aiden scoffed. You think you're intimidating me? No. Roshan tilted his head, calm, terrifying in the way storms are calm a second before lightning hits. I don't need to intimidate boys who don't matter. The silence slapped the courtyard still. Aiden's face flushed. That's exactly the problem. You think no one matters except you. Roshan's eyes narrowed. Not rage, not threat. Something colder, wounded, possessive. She matters, he said, more than you could understand. His voice lowered, hurting and hungry and soft all at once. She is not a game, or a crush, or a moment, he breathed, slow, controlled. She is my fate. My breath broke inside me. Aiden stared in disbelief. And what if she doesn't want fate? What if she wants freedom? Freedom. The word hit me like wind in a locked room. Roshan's jaw tightened. Not anger. Heartbreak disguised as steel. If she wants freedom, he whispered, I will burn for her. And let her go. My heart cracked. Not because of his claim, but because of the cost he was willing to pay for me. Aiden turned to me, voice softer. Say it. Tell him you don't belong to him. I looked at Roshan. His breathing was uneven. His fists were clenched. His heart was in his eyes. Raw, unhidden, terrified of the answer. I stepped forward. Not toward Aiden. Toward him. Roshan, I whispered, and his jaw trembled the tiniest bit. I don't belong to anyone. Aiden's shoulders relaxed, victory starting to form. But I wasn't done. I lifted my hand, touching Roshan's wrist, stopping the storm inside him. But I choose you. His breath left him. A sound, quiet, broken, escaped his throat. Aiden stared, stunned, defeated, heart splintering in real time. I choose you, I repeated softly. Not because you claim me, not because you protect me, but because my heart doesn't listen to reason, or fear, or rules. Roshan lifted my hand like it was the first prayer he ever believed in. You have no idea, he whispered, voice shaking, what you just did to me. And Aiden turned away, not angry now. Just a boy who realized some loves are bigger than the world knows how to hold. The next morning began quietly. Too quietly. I had just left the campus library, backpack slung over my shoulder, when I noticed the black SUV parked across the street. Its tinted windows made it impossible to see who was inside, but my stomach twisted the moment I realized it had been following me. I tried to ignore it. Tell myself it was just paranoia, but instinct doesn't lie. Before I could react, my phone buzzed. A single cryptic message. She's alone. Make the move. My blood ran cold. I knew immediately who she referred to. Me. I was the target. The world around me blurred. Students laughing, talking, walking by. But I could hear nothing except my own heartbeat. Rapid and jagged, and then he appeared. Roshan. He didn't run, didn't shout. He just stood there, watching me with that same dangerous calm, every muscle coiled, ready to strike. His eyes swept over the SUV, then over me. You shouldn't have been out here alone, he said quietly, voice low and tense. I swallowed, trying to speak. You don't get to wander, he interrupted, stepping closer. His hand grasped my wrist, firm and possessive. Do you understand that? Not anymore. Not since I claimed you. I nodded, too shocked to speak. Get in the car, he commanded. Before I could question him, he moved like a shadow, opening the passenger side and sliding me in. The moment I was seated, the SUV's engine roared, tires spinning against the asphalt as he drove away, leaving my campus, and the danger, behind. But he didn't relax. His eyes never left the rearview mirror. Every glance, every twitch of a muscle, screamed tension, control, obsession. They're watching you, he said finally, voice low, almost broken. Someone wants to hurt you. Someone thinks taking you hurts me. I shivered, feeling the weight of his words. Not fear for myself, fear for him, for what he would do if anything happened to me, Roshan. I whispered, He turned, gripping my shoulders gently but firmly. No, don't, not yet. You don't speak, you don't move, you survive. His words weren't commands, they were vows. A dark street appeared ahead. He swerved slightly and the car lurched, almost like a test of reflex. But he didn't flinch. His hands were steady, unrelenting, holding the wheel and me like he held the world itself in his grasp. You think you can protect me? I asked quietly. His jaw clenched, a flash of pain in his eyes. I'm going to try, he admitted, voice breaking just slightly. But if anything happens to you, I swear, nothing will survive. Nothing. I would burn everything before I lose you. I wanted to tell him I didn't want him to go to war for me. I wanted to say I could survive, but words caught in my throat, because deep down I knew I didn't want him to survive without me. I didn't want to imagine a world where he had to face this danger without me beside him. And in that moment, trapped between fear and desire, I understood the terrifying truth. Being claimed by him wasn't just passion. It was survival, and I was all in. The warehouse was dark, smell of oil and dust hanging in the air. I had no idea how we got here, only that Roshan moved like a phantom, every step calculated, every breath measured. His eyes never left me, like my presence anchored him, gave him purpose, and yet stoked a fire he could barely contain. They've been waiting for you, he whispered, voice low, almost reverent in its intensity. And now, they've found me. I wanted to protest, to step back, to insist that I could handle myself. But the second I looked at him, saw the tension coiled like a predator beneath his skin. My words died in my throat. You don't have to do this alone, I said, barely above a whisper. His lips curved in a dark, dangerous smile. I don't do anything without you. But this, protecting you, claiming you. His eyes locked on mine, pupils dilated, obsession and devotion bleeding through every word. I won't let anyone take what's mine. Not in life. Not in death. The sound of footsteps echoed in the warehouse. Men, armed, moving like shadows. But Roshan didn't flinch. He shifted subtly, keeping me between him and the threat, hands brushing mine ever so slightly, a silent promise. You feel that, don't you? He murmured. The way the world narrows to just us. The way nothing else matters but this moment. I nodded, heart hammering, lungs tight. I feel it. All of it. He leaned close, voice a husky whisper, fingers grazing my jaw. Good, because tonight, there's no running, no excuses, no lies. This is ours. All of it. You and me. A shot rang out. Concrete splintered. Dust filled the air. My hands shot up instinctively, but his arms were around me in a heartbeat, protective, possessive, unwavering. You don't move, he growled, voice low and dangerous. You stay here. You stay with me. Alive. I felt his heart hammering against mine, rapid, fierce, claiming, as if it mirrored the chaos surrounding us. And in that instant, fear and desire twisted into one unbearable, intoxicating emotion. I wanted to tell him I trusted him, that I would stay, no matter the danger, no matter the fire around us. But words weren't enough. So I leaned into him, just slightly, just enough. And the moment I did, he exhaled a shaky breath, the first crack in his armor I had ever seen. His hands tightened on me, not with violence, but with desperate, almost frightening tenderness. They touch you, I swear, he murmured, voice rough, trembling. They will regret it, because I will leave nothing standing if they even breathe near you again. I could feel the raw, lethal edge of his obsession, but beneath it, there was care, worship, the kind of love that consumes everything and demands surrender. I'm yours, I whispered, voice breaking. Not because I have to be, but because I want to be. Always. His lips brushed my temple in a fleeting kiss. Possessive, reverent, claiming. And I felt every fear, every danger, every heartbeat crystallize into one truth. We were unstoppable. Together, bound by obsession, love, and fate. And nothing, no threat, no darkness, no danger, could take that from us. The city was quiet tonight, too quiet for a world where monsters hid in suits and angels learned to lie beautifully. Evelyn stood on the rooftop of the Devara headquarters, wind whipping through her hair, her heart beating like it was ready to break out of her chest. She had made her choice, her future, her loyalty, her love. But choices came with blood, and love came with consequences. Behind her, the metal door swung open. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, familiar. Lorenzo, Evelyn. His voice was low, wrapped in something she hadn't heard from him before. Fear. She didn't turn. Not yet. You destroyed evidence, he said, stepping closer. You killed the man who could expose us. You lied to the agency for me. She exhaled shakily, staring out over the glittering city. It wasn't just for you. Silence. Then, say it, he demanded, voice rough. She turned, eyes burning, chest aching with truth she could no longer hide. I did it because I'm not theirs anymore. A pause. Then softer. I'm yours. The world seemed to stop breathing. Lorenzo's jaw clenched, as if the words physically hit him. A man who could command killers with a whisper, stunned by 6 simple words. He moved to her slowly, like approaching something fragile, something precious, something he never believed he deserved. His hand cupped her cheek, thumb brushing her lip. You think you chose darkness, he murmured, but you don't understand yet. His forehead pressed to hers, breath warm, voice breaking like a confession dragged from a sinner's soul. You didn't fall into my world, Evelyn. You remade it. Her chest tightened. Her throat burned. Her fingers curled into his shirt like she needed something real to hold on to. You changed me, he whispered. Low, reverent, dangerous. And I don't know if I can survive losing you. Her breath trembled. Then don't lose me. Lightning flashed far in the distance, a storm approaching, just like them. He pulled her closer, voice turning darker, softer, hungry with emotion he never let himself feel. You walk away now, he warned, and I become the man I was again. Cold, ruthless, empty. Her hand slid to his chest, right over his heart, the one he pretended wasn't there. I'm not walking away. He kissed her, not like a king claiming a prize, but like a man drowning grabbing onto the only air he had left, desperate, shaking, alive. When they finally pulled apart, both breathless, he stared into her eyes like she held the world hostage in her hands. We build this together, she vowed. Your empire, our rules. And if the world comes for us? He asked. She smirked. Slow, dangerous, beautifully fearless. Then we make it bleed. His laugh was low, dark, worshipful. Queen. Her smile was fire. No, partner. And as thunder rolled over the city, Lorenzo Devara took her hand, not like a possession, but like a vow. A king and his equal, a sinner and his salvation, a love forged in crime, loyalty, and war. Together now, forever or ruin, and the world didn't know it yet. But a new dynasty had just been born. The city never truly sleeps, but tonight, under the golden glow of chandeliers in the Devara estate, everything felt still. Layla stood at the balcony, silk gown flowing like liquid moonlight. She wasn't just anyone anymore. She wasn't the girl who dreamed of stolen kisses in quiet corridors. She was claimed, marked, adored, and terrifyingly powerful in her own right. Lorenzo appeared beside her, tailored suit cutting his silhouette like a shadow in fire. His eyes, always dangerous, softened only for her. "You're beautiful," he murmured, voice low, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "And reckless, and perfect." She smiled, a little wicked, a little daring. "I'm yours, completely." He tilted her chin up, eyes locking hers with the kind of intensity that could burn through stone. "Forever, right? No more running, no more pretending. You belong with me, and the world will see it." A distant rumble of thunder rolled across the horizon. Outside, city lights shimmered like distant stars. Inside, Devera guards stood at their posts, silent, vigilant, ready for any threat, yet invisible. This was their empire, their dynasty, their rules. "I want them to know," she said softly, leaning into him. "I'm not afraid anymore." His hand slid around her waist, pulling her close. "Then let them watch," he whispered, voice dark and possessive. "Watch the queen of my heart. Watch the woman I claimed, because anyone who thinks they can touch you will regret it," she finished for him, voice trembling with thrill. He laughed, low, dangerous, intoxicating. "Exactly." A soft chime from the grand hall announced their arrival. Friends, allies, and family, some loyal, some wary, filled the space. But the only gaze she sought was his. He took her hand in his, lifting it in a silent vow. "You are mine," he said. Not a claim, not a threat, a truth written in shadows and fire. "And you are mine," she replied, voice steady now, bold, unapologetic. As they turned together toward the hall, whispers followed. Some feared them, some envied them, but all understood. The Devara dynasty had just gained its queen. Lorenzo leaned close, lips brushing her ear. "We survive everything now, together." She rested her head against his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart, relentless, obsessive, devoted. "Together," she agreed, a smile tugging at her lips. The night stretched on, full of laughter, glances, silent promises, and unspoken threats. But in the eye of their storm, Layla and Lorenzo stood untouchable. Two hearts fused by destiny, obsession, and desire. Outside, the city pulsed with danger. But inside was theirs, and the world would never forget it.